Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to the empowered harmonizers today. And we are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question. And that was how to reduce or eliminate the hold that a toxic relationship has on her after she has been gaslighted and sabotaged from a malignant narcissist, or someone who is probably more psychopathic, someone who is more antisocial, someone who has really betrayed her to the core, including gaslighting and brainwashing. In other words, flipping meaning and associations around in her mind that are not inherent to her as an individual, having her become deluded that they were going to be in a relationship and that she was the only one when this indeed was not the case. Being told and misled that things were a certain way, yet they were not. Having things moved around on her that caused her to see things other than they really were. The psychopath has a way that's sort of an enigmatic or sort of psychopathic word salad that they will use that will configure in your mind in a way that makes you stop and think that this is not normal, yet there's a sort of energy that comes from them which is very seductive, charming, and almost paralyzing, like a stun gun to their victims. In other words, and we're going to call them victims because really when a psychopath has control over their language and they are able to then manipulate others and really go and approach people in order to overpower them, they will do it in a way that they were looking for people who are vulnerable. They're looking for people who have weak boundaries, who can be easily transgressed, meaning that they can trespass on them and that they will really not really be able to stand up for themselves. They don't have the strength or knowledge. They're a little bit naive. And it doesn't mean that they're, negative people or that there's anything wrong, but there's a certain naivete about them, or there's a certain way with which they are sort of very affectionate or do not look for the bad in people. They're very easily trustworthy. They're very sort of soft or easily to manage people. And so this can be very, very, and I'm just trying to get in the picture here, it just looks a little dark, but this can be very difficult because when you're in a gaslighted state, you're really sort of severed and separated from your own connection, your own values to things. You're not connected to life in the same way. You're always making assessments and value determinations according to the brainwashed state. In other words, your desires and what you want in life are no longer really your desires. Your desires are now formulated to meet those of this antisocial person who oftentimes has the ploy and the pre-calculated meditation, pre-calculated meaning this is already determined what they're going to do, how they're going to play you, so to speak, how they're going to manipulate you, the things that they're going to say to intoxicate you, the things that you want to hear, and take you off course. And they can see the look in people's eye when they're sort of abandoning themselves gradually, and really engaging in that self-violation that is part of the narcissistic brainwashing, when they will flip things in your mind in terms of how they are meaningful to you. In other words, it might come across with a sense of humor, but there's a lot of hypersexualization going on. In other words, everything is sexualized if this person is engaging in a manipulative relationship with you. Even if it's non-romantic or romantic, they have a way with moving their body and speaking, so it tends to get them into an upper hand position. And oftentimes this is based on that primal sexual energy that you can feel sort of emanating out of them, and they're very well aware of this. They might say that this oozes from my every pore. They have a different experience with being a person than the norm, and it's estimated that about 4%, 1 to 4% of the general population is psychopathic, and many of those are your criminals who they have a complete disregard for law. They feel above the law. They feel that they are smarter than the law and that they have entitlement to get what they want because they're really missing the hard wiring, which is based on a sense of morality and judgment. So the idea that something is right or wrong doesn't really weigh into their decisions or their relationships. They're not guided by that. And when you think really about what most people are guided by is just that. I mean, it undergirds, it is the foundation of a lot of your decisions. This is right. This is morally right. This is good. This is beneficial. This is positive. This is healthful. This makes, for love. This makes for heartfelt connections. This is good. So all those sort of assessments oftentimes are based on a sort of what Freud would call the superego, or that moral compass within you. Oftentimes it's like your parents. Your parents taught you your superego, your sense of right or wrong, sportsmanship. Learn, look both ways before you exit this, enter the street. These are the sort of things that are integrity-based, ethics-based. And now the psychopath, they are not wired in the same way to make that assessment. So if they want something, power or control is usually what they want. And just to manipulate others oftentimes is enough. So for them to just want to manipulate others and brainwash, to them, that is connection enough. If it's in a workplace, if it's in a family, if it's someone who you're married to or you're romantically been dating, that is the duplicity. It is called duping delight. In other words, they take a great deal of pleasure and satisfaction from doing this. They get a kick out of it. They get a rise out of it, and they will contort and distort your meaning of things which are innocent or wholesome to you. And little by little, they will become and get you addicted to this gaslighting, where even becoming so removed from yourself becomes desirable. And it really becomes a full body takeover when they're engaged in this gaslighting. In other words, people feel a compulsion to do things, a real strong compulsion to do things and feel things and think things that they ordinarily would not do. They feel moved to do things that are negative in the relationship, that are part of this hypersexualization oftentimes, or this sort of root sexual generative energy, which is, the root chakra, which really kind of is the foundation of everything. And it's very powerful, very dangerous, but very lethal when you're talking about the psychological takeover that can occur when you're in a relationship with a malignant narcissist or a psychopath. We're talking about the psychopath, because the malignant narcissist, they really can have empathy if they so choose, but they really just shut it off. They just think, caring for other people, love, that's just a fraud. Love is just, like Tina Turner, which love got to do with it? It's a secondhand emotion. I mean, they don't put any value or weight on this. When you think about that, that's really, really scary that they're operating without this completely. I mean, it's really like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. Imagine you didn't have a heart and you don't want one. I mean, at least the Tin Man, he wanted a heart, or I think that's what he wanted, right? The lion, the cowardly lion, he wanted courage. Remember Wizard of Oz? So, it's that kind of thing where they are really missing this component that makes people human. Really, it's that humanity which makes you human. And so to be gaslighted, how do you extricate yourself from that grip? Well, realize, for one, that the grip was not anything that you did wrong. So it's by no fault of your own that you were apprehended psychologically. This is what these people do. They take advantage of the innocent. They take advantage of the unknowing. They are able to pull this over on people, and they've done it again and again and again and again. You're not the first. It's not going to be the last. The scary thing, though, is that not everybody in the normal populace has gone through this. So it can feel very scary and very alone when you feel like you have just permitted or you've just found yourself in the midst of this conflicted and lack of focus and lack of meaning and lack of connection to yourself, what you value in life. In other words, everything is for question. Everything has been turned upside down. Nothing makes you feel good. All of your senses are desensitized. You are, in essence, dehumanized by these people. And again, we talk about the mirror neurons and how there's empathy at play when we are with other people. We have something called mirror neurons, which cause us to, through law of reciprocity, to feel what another feels, sort of match our body movements and feel their energy. And so when you're in a relationship with someone who is psychopathic for this amount of time, your mirror neurons, just by their basic organic nature, are going to begin to engage in that pathology. It's just going to pick up on it, and the pathology becomes pleasurable. But see, that's not healthy for you. It's just a momentary lapse into a distorted reality, which is created by a psychopath, with someone who has a lack of heart, a lack of emotion. They don't connect to humanity and have connection to even things like music or art or relationships. Everything, any sort of abstract loyalty, freedom, they just don't live by these tenets. They don't have the mental ability to grasp these. So they grasp onto other people to apprehend them psychologically so that they feel, at least it's like a cover for them to get by in this world. So it's a horrible thing to be victimized and targeted by these people. I mean, they can derail your life. You can wonder if you're ever going to get your life back. And yes, you will. You need to really, really work on the self-comfort, the self-nurturing component, the self-compassion. Begin to really embrace yourself, and you need to drive your internal dialogue very strong and use affirmations, which are saying a positive I am statement again and again and again. I mean, you might need to do this for hours, days, weeks, to reset yourself neurologically. The beautiful thing is that you will be back in the driver's seat. You will be back not being hypersexualized. Begin to get away from that hypersexualization where everything seems to be the corrupt. Everything seems to be the corrupted. Everything seems to be in the brainwashed, corroded state, the enigma state. Begin to separate yourself and de-identify from that as valuable, important, what makes the life go around, because the psychopath is a way to kind of get in their talons and get their grasp into the minds of others in what we call a hyper-aroused, hyper-sexualized way, where everything seems to be twisted and contorted according to how they position themselves. It's a very sort of energetic reality or dimension, if you will, with which they live and how they position their bodies. It's very difficult to explain to people, and it's very terrifying for people who have experienced it, because they can't really articulate it and they can't really share it with other people because they're like, what are you talking about? So you might not be able to actually talk to people for a while. You might become very isolated in trying to, get through all this, and time will heal these wounds. It might take 18 months. If you've been in a relationship with someone for a couple years or, several years, or this was your family, it might take 18 months, 24 months before you're really clear, so if you're still in the woods, it's going to take some time. So hang in there for the process. But for one, you can learn about the disorder. You can say, oh my God, there are these types of people, nobody told me this before. Thank God I'm learning about it. I've now identified what it is. Never again is now. I'm never going to let this happen. Thank God I am away. So you get into the profound gratitude state, and I am safe. I am sane. I am focused. I am on track. These are the sort of statements that you can make again and again and again. I care for and love myself above everything else. I care and love for myself above everything else. I am so important. I'm the most important in this moment. Nothing else matters. God is restoring my focus. God is restoring my humanity. Humanity is coming to me in waves and waves now. More and more humanity is filling my being, and I am safe. And thank God I am safe. Thank God I am safe. These are the sort of statements that you can make over and over and over again, and write them and repeat them and speak them out loud, because your voice needs to resonate and give commands now into the rest of your body. Your neurology will follow. You need to get an opportunity to reset your senses and your commands, and command a new feeling to flood your body versus this terror. And it does take time to get filtered out. It takes time for the neurochemicals to get back into where they belong, because as I explain it, a lot of chemicals are where they should not be. This stress hormone should not be here. This, sex hormone should not be here. This judgment hormone should not be here. So everything becomes, when you're gaslighted, your whole sense of reality is twisted and turning around. And that's because of oftentimes the boundary violation with which these people will commit onto others, which causes this. You become basically, in the name of love. Oftentimes people think that this is what love is, because they have them deluded to that it's this emptying out of yourself and filling yourself with them that seems the answer, but it's really them working their targets. And psychopaths are able to tell you, and they know that they do this, and they know that they're doing this to hurt others, and they just continue it on and on. That's all they do. It's just, you cannot change who they are. All you can do is, once you're gone, no contact, and you have indeed exposed them, it's not confronting them. The closure will have to come from within you. It's like, oh my God, this happened to me. Having these oh my God moments. Thank God I am in the free and clear. So your gratitude is going to be most powerful, and then your focus and your affirmations are going to be most important. And then resensitizing yourself, which means really taking time to get and work your senses in a comforting way. Begin to, become very, get a pet, get comfortable clothing. Throw out everything that you had while you were with them, even if it's like clothing that you might have worn, or changing up the position of your furniture, or moving your furniture out, anything that sort of re-triggers that relationship. Get it out, gifts that they might have given you, or things that you were going to give them that you still have. Get it out of your possession. And oftentimes people, have been through some really, really horrific things where they did things to them, or they left kind of like the psychopathic calling card, where they would do specific things to make you look awry, look askew. Stop looking awry, stop looking askew, stop looking for things that they had kind of planted in your mind to detract you from your inherent natural organic focus, and begin to identify what the wrong was. Just saying, okay, that is an effect of that distraction. I'm no longer distracted. Thank God I'm no longer distracted. Your body will calm down, and then it is terrifying because it's an experience that your body has had. So yes, you have experienced it. It's just like you've been there, did that, you got the t-shirt, and it was a horrible thing, but a stronger person it'll make you. And so the fear is that this will never leave you if you are to have another relationship. Well, give time a chance to heal. And if you've been hypersexualized, this is something you can control. It's something that is not going to spill over into your other relationships. It's something that you can have command over. You can learn healthy boundaries, healthy standards, healthy limitations. You will be able to keep, your heart, and be able to express and open it when you are ready and when you feel it's safe. It'll be little by little by little. And the small things right now can make the hugest impact. So especially having your focus and being on your own, yes, to get away from them, to detox that sort of conglomeration or gunk of all the neurochemicals that are not supposed to be combined, giving them a chance to get sorted out, filtered out, silted out, and really getting yourself into some very healing mechanisms. Sometimes it can even be so scary, people just can't even be around other people. They cannot look other people. They cannot work. I mean, they can be very post-traumatic. So if it is very difficult, go to your primary care physician if you feel you want to just do a checkup. But oftentimes it's working with specialists, like here on YouTube, or people who get this, who know this, who can be here for you, and can give you some tools like this. Beginning to really just develop a focus and learning right now. You might need to do a lot of very focused learning on the disorder and how you can rehabilitate yourself. And it's oftentimes the inner voice, having that secure attachment with yourself is the best thing you can do, as well as communicating with others who have been through this as well is going to be your best bet. Connecting with others. That's why I really want to get a website, a support area where we can have like a written blog for people to sign in and then write and then share their experiences. You're welcome to share your experiences here like you're doing. I mean, this is a great thing. Share your experiences. They did this and this to me in the parking lot. They did this to me in the workplace. I mean, it is oftentimes criminal in nature, what has transpired, and you don't realize that you've had this criminal act against you. And viewers will say, well, this should be illegal. Well, sometimes, you do need to call in the police, especially if this is like in your workplace and you're being violated. So it's a very horrible thing. But the affirmations need to be done, and they need to be shouted loud, and you're going to need to work on this, and you're going to need to kind of get your life with blinders on right now in terms of your focus, focusing on what's important, getting yourself healthy food, still doing things little by little. Sometimes the smallest little changes you can make will be the best things for you. Going and doing some of the things that you love to do, even if you feel like you don't love them anymore. You used to love doing this, you used to love fishing. Just going and just saying, I'm going to go and try to do this. It doesn't feel right. Oftentimes people get so terrified that they just want to stay home. So if that is the case, then begin to, at least bring in some things that you can nurture, like getting something like a plant, getting something like a book, a pen and paper, being mentored and comforted by community or association, having things that give you a sense of recovery, and little by little, inch by inch is a cinch, and it'll help you move along. But time is going to be your best friend. You need to give it at least 18 months, and things slowly will begin to sift out. And again, it is surrounding yourself with positive images, getting images, going and getting about 4 or 5, a whole bunch of magazines. Trust me on this. Getting a a scissors, a glue stick, and a poster board, and sitting down for a moment like a child, like it says in the Bible, be as children. Getting into this youthful state and just being like, a child who has just been bullied at school and who needs the guidance of a mature adult. You need to really kind of be as a child, but be there as an adult, and get some images around you that you relate to, things that catch your eye. Begin to cut them out and then put them on this poster board and put this up in your home, or taking just a couple of the pictures and putting them up on your refrigerator, putting them up on your wall, things that give you a positive image of where you want to do, what you want to have, where you want to go, who you want to be. Develop also, and this is called priming of the subconscious mind. So it'll begin to work its way and then surround you with what's positive. Positive affirmation statements that say, follow your heart. Something like this, getting something like this from a local store and just putting it up in your place. Well, peace and harmony, I've never done that before. Okay, great. Well, now's a great time to start. But that's not me. I think that's corny. Okay, great. Go ahead and do it anyway and see how you like it. Getting a pen and paper and writing this down. You need to have a sense of commitment. I mean, because unless you're really committed, I mean, you'll just linger in this, and it can be very, very petrifying. And then also, the 432 hertz music, or